Hello, geometry. So we are going to go on to the quadratic formula. So there's a couple of things that I just wanted to go through with you. There's no need to write all of this green stuff down. Just listen to what I'm going to say here. So we've gone through quite a few different scenarios. We've had the quadratic trinomial. We've done a quadratic with the x squared and the x. And then we've done the quadratic with the x squared and just a number. So this guy, remember, we just factored. I'm not going to go through the specifics, but factored into two binomials. This guy, if you have an x in both terms, you can factor out that x, and that one's the easiest version, really. And then if you have x squared minus 9, where you're missing that middle term, and it's a perfect square, you can factor it into that form. Then we get to this guy. So the main difference with this guy is there is a number in front of the x squared. That makes factoring much more difficult. So what we're going to do in this class is anytime you have an a value that is not equal to 1, we are going to solve that using what's called the quadratic formula. Okay, you did learn this last spring in algebra, but we are going to review over it for this class and use it often. The greatest part about the quadratic formula is it does work for any quadratic. So it actually could solve any of these scenarios, but these first three are generally quicker and easier if you just factor. This guy, this last one, can be very difficult to factor and is sometimes not factorable at all. So that's why if you notice there's a 2 or a number in front of the x squared, we are going to have you guys use the quadratic formula. Okay, so let's go through an example of that. So example 1, notice we have that 2 here in front. So that indicates that we are going to use the quadratic formula for this class. Okay, so the A, B, and C. So let's go back really quickly. The A, the B, and the C are the coefficients and then the constant. So the coefficient is the number in front of x squared, the number in front of x, and then the constant is just the number at the end, the C value. Okay, so those are pretty easy to identify in any quadratic. So we have this guy, and this guy. So A is equal to 2, B is equal to, so in this case, you would read this as 1x. So there's an assumed 1 in front of that x here. And then C, you do want to take the sign with the number. So this is going to be a -3. Okay, I am going to rewrite the quadratic formula up here so that we have that as a reference on this page. So it's -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over to a. And if you ever have a test or a quiz, we will give you the quadratic formula to use. Okay, so you don't have to memorize that piece. All right, so all you do at this point is you start plugging in the numbers where they go. So the b goes where the -b is, b squared minus 4a is 2, c is -3. Okay, notice that I did put parentheses around all of those numbers. That does help a lot, especially when you have negative values to plug in. So please use all of those parentheses. Okay, next. So it is helpful, obviously, for a lot of you to have this to go into a calculator. So on your Schoology page, I'll just quickly click over there. On your Schoology page, I will post a scientific calculator. So you can just click on that, and that'll take you to a Desmos calculator. So here's the square root button here, and then you can just plug it in just like, and you can use your keyboard. It's probably easier if you use your keyboard, just like you had written down. So in this case, it was parenthesis 1, and please use the parenthesis because, especially with the negatives, it's super helpful. So -4, and then the a value was 2, and then C is a -3. So notice that it'll calculate it for you over here on the right. So you don't even really have to hit enter. So we know that that square root value is equal to a 5. So when I go back to this guy, so this became 25, but the square root of 25 is 5. So that's from, you can get that from your calculator. You plug this guy in, it'll go straight to the 5. There. Okay, at that point, notice there's a plus or minus here. You are going to get 2 answers, unless you get 0 here where the 5 is. You are going to get 2 answers. The way you split that up is you do one of them with a plus and one of them with a minus. So I'd say -1 plus 5 and -1 minus 5, all of that over 4, and then you simplify. So 5 or -1 plus 5 is 4, divided by 4 is equal to 1. So there's one of my answers. And then here -1 minus, or yeah, -1 minus 5 is -6. Over 4 gets you the -1.5. And again, if you need help with that, you can go back and use that Desmos calculator. So those are our 2 answers. Okay, so going through a couple of examples here. So I want you to actually take a second. I'm going to write up here. You're going to take a second and find A, B, and C for both of these. So pause and figure out A, B, and C for both of these. Okay, welcome back. So this is going to be 2, this is going to be 7, and this is going to be 3. Okay, and then over here, A is going to be 5, B is going to be 9, and C is going to be a -2. Okay, good job. So now we are going to plug into the quadratic formula. So let me write this one more time here. So -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so plugging those in, -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. Okay, again, you can use the calculator if you need to, but 7 times 7 is 49, minus 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24, all of that over 4. All right, so you get -7 plus or minus the square root of 49 minus 24 is 25, all over 4. Okay, that brings us down here. Again, from even the previous example, square root of 25 is 5, all over 4. And then you're going to split it up into 2 different equations or expressions. So -7 plus 5 over 4. So -7 plus 5 is -2 over 4. You can put that in your calculator to get a decimal, or you can reduce the fraction. It's -1/2. If you put it in your calculator, it'd be a -0.5. The other one, so I'll just leave it as a -0.5. The other one, again, would be -7 minus 5 over 4. -7 minus 5 is -12 over 4, which is -3. So there's my other solution. Okay, over here, let me do a different color. Okay, so what I want you to do, again, is pause and try to fill in the 3 numbers into the quadratic formula. Okay, welcome back. So you are going to do -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac C, all of that over 2A. Okay, simplifying. So again, if you need to go to the calculator to help you simplify, but this is going to be 81. And then the important piece here, so if you do it by, without the calculator, you have to pay attention to signs. So I have a negative here and a negative here. So this whole product is going to be positive. Okay, so what I get here is 81 plus, because it's negative times a negative, so 20 is 4 times 5 times 2 is 40. All of that over 10. Okay, so I get negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 81 plus 40 is 121. Again, if you use the calculator, you know that square root of 121 is equal to 11. Oops, I forgot the over 10. So over 10, and then again, we're going to split it up into two expressions. So negative 9 plus 11 over 10. So negative 9 plus 11 is 2 over 10. If you put that in the calculator, you would get, 2/10. If you reduce the fraction, it'd be 1/5. But I will just write it as 2/10. Okay, and then the negative, so negative 9 minus 11 all over 10. So negative 9 minus 11 is negative 20 divided by 10, and that is going to be negative 2. Okay, that's it for the quadratic formula for right now. We'll see you next time.